The people of Minnesota and the entire country have been mourning and protesting over the death of Daunte Wright. And today, the police officer who pulled the trigger was put on notice.
Another night of unrest in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Some demonstrators used a line of umbrellas to shield themselves as police fired off flashbangs. The protest coming hours before an expected announcement today on possible charges for Wright's death.
The officer who shot him has been arrested. Agents with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension say they've taken former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter into custody. Potter was booked on second-degree manslaughter charges in the death of Daunte Wright.
Yes, the officer who killed Daunte Wright was charged with second-degree manslaughter just today. And look, I think it's good that she's being charged, but let's be honest, that doesn't mean much on its own. I mean, charging a police officer is like announcing that you're withdrawing from Afghanistan. I'm not going to hold my breath for results. Now, I don't think there's any one change that we could make to police procedure or equipment or funding that would fix the entire problem of how cops treat black people. But the mayor of Brooklyn Center, where the killing of Daunte Wright took place, did make one interesting point that I found very revealing.
As of this moment, I don't believe any one of our officers live in Brooklyn Center. That is something that we are aware of. We do feel very strongly that we need officers to be from the community. Obviously, not every officer can live in the city where they work. I don't think that would be feasible or practical, but there is a huge importance to having a significant number of your officers living in the community where they serve.
Yeah, the mayor is completely right, and that is a startling thing to hear. Not a single one of his city's police officers actually live in the city that they police, which is a huge problem. When a cop is taking you downtown, he shouldn't have to ask you how to get downtown. And it matters when you're not policing your own community, when you're an outsider, because then you've been sent in to enforce. You're an occupying force. Because it's human nature to treat people differently when you're not from there. You know, when you go to your neighbor's house, you're respectful, you're courteous. When you go to a hotel room in a different city, I mean, that's when things get covered in semen for no good reason. Plus, it's harder to brutalize people when you live in the same community. You're less likely to body slam someone to the ground when your moms might be in the same book club. And if you want to see how different groups are policed in America, you don't have to look any further than the Capitol riots, where we're still finding out just how much leeway a violent mob of white conservatives was given.
We are learning more about the advance warnings Capitol Police received leading up to the January 6th insurrection. According to a new Inspector General's report reviewed by the New York Times, police were warned 3 days before the violent attack, including a potential for violence, which, quote, Congress itself is the target. The report found that officers were instructed by their leaders not to use their most aggressive tactics to hold off the mob. That would include things like stun grenades.
Think about that. They knew that a violent group was coming after Congress itself. Congress. The place where America's most important laws are filibustered, but they still told the police not to get too aggressive. Now, this report didn't exactly explain why this order was given, but if you ask me, this is what happens when police see you as people. They give you the benefit of the doubt. And that's really what the truth is. America is a country where white people who are coming to storm the Capitol are given the benefit of the doubt. But black people just going about their lives are treated like they're about to storm the Capitol. And look, I'm not saying that the cops should be maximally aggressive with citizens, but I mean, there's got to be a happy medium between he's driving while blacks shoot him and they're storming the government. Well, let's see where this goes. Let's see. I just want to see how it turns out. Yeah, I want to see what they're doing. And if there ever was a time and a place to be aggressive, I feel like January 6th would have been it. I mean, Congress was certifying the election. They were actually doing something. Do you know how rare that is? It's like pandas mating. There can't be any disturbances or they'll get spooked and it won't happen again for years. And look, I know it's exhausting to keep having to deal with this shit over and over and over again. And I'm sure there are people out there who are like, well, you know what, why even bother protesting? You know, Derek Chauvin's trial is on right now, and they're still shooting black people. But marching in the streets and challenging the system actually does make a difference. Just look at this story about a police incident from 15 years ago that's finally getting a rewrite.
Former Buffalo police officer Cariol Horne is celebrating a major legal victory this morning. Judge Dennis Ward ruled she's owed a full pension. Horne was fired after she intervened to stop another officer from using excessive force during an arrest in 2006. Judge Ward also ruled Horne is owed 2 years of back pay. In his decision, he wrote, quote, while the Eric Garners and George Floyds of the world never had a chance for a do-over, at least here, the correction can be done.
Yeah, that's right. This former Buffalo police officer literally fought a fellow cop to stop him from putting a handcuffed suspect into a chokehold, which must have been really confusing for the guy being arrested. He must have thought this was the most elaborate good cop, bad cop routine ever. But then, Officer Horne was fired for doing that, which actually tells you a lot. Because people always say, police aren't a problem, it's just a few bad apples. But in one of the rare incidents where there was a good apple who tried to step up, what happened? The system turned against her and protected the bad apple. The only good news is that now, thanks to a law passed in Buffalo last year, she's getting her pension back, she's getting her salary back, and she's finally getting the recognition that she deserves. And remember, that law was only passed because of the pressure of the Black Lives Matter movement. And yes, it may be a small step, but every step that holds the police more accountable to the community that they're supposed to protect, well, I think that's a step worth marching for.